You are listening to The Ben Keech Show, where every day the objective is simple. Ben will never stop fighting the fight and lighting the light on topics that affect you every day.
Welcome, fellow Americans. Donald Trump, I'm assuming you're watching tonight. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate all the publicity. I know Joe Biden was tuning in too, but he might be sleeping. Sorry, Jennifer, that's a bad joke. Sorry, I apologize. Okay, no, nothing. This is not a political. This is love. I gotta clear. Love, relationships, all the fun things, folks. We are with three. We're all four. A part of the Kansas City Singles Facebook group, and we are talking about love, relationships, and this is going to be another exciting episode. If you've seen these guys before, this promises to be interesting. Let me introduce everybody. My name's Ben. I have on the far end, I have Drenda. And again, everybody's information is going to be in the show notes. So when you click on, you can follow these folks. You can add comments. You can tell them how amazing they are. If you want to date Steven, if you're a 9 out of 10 or above, he will date you. That's
woman.
Right. Sorry, I didn't.
Woman.
Yeah, right. What is a woman? Do we know what that is?
Well, I know what a woman is.
Very good, Steve.
No surprises. No surprises.
Next agenda, we have Jennifer. Okay. And then next to Jennifer, who he's expressed that he's interested in women, his name is Steven. So we'll leave it there. So, Steven, speaking of women, and a question for you. So let me give you a hypothetical situation. You guys are going to get this question too, from a man's perspective.
All right.
So you're dating a girl, you like her, it's been 2 months, pretty good. You're thinking this is potential, and she tells you that, yeah, my ex-boyfriend, for a year of our relationship, we were in an open relationship.
Okay.
Okay. What do you do with that information? Does it bother you, not bother you? What do you do with that?
So, fun fact.
Oh.
The last gal I was dating for like 4 years, we were in an open relationship, and I had no idea. So once I found out, it wasn't that great. So I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of it. I would have issues with it.
So to interpret for the people that are slow like myself, you're saying that she was having an affair for all that time. She was with someone.
Yes,
she was open. You were not.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
I missed the memo or something. I'm not quite sure what happened. I don't check my emails all the time, so maybe she sent it through that. But
usually people do that.
Yeah. But the question is, would I judge someone who had one previous to me?
Yes.
That's the question. I'd probably want to know, more details. I mean, she just getting ran through, or what? What's going on? I mean, it wasn't like a weird situationship. I'm not one to judge. Everyone's got their weirdness going on, but I'd have to have more details. It would matter to me a little. It could matter to me a little bit.
So it was just something that her and her boyfriend for a year, like, this sounds fun. This sounds good for a relationship. It was another girl. It was like a little throuple situation.
So it was like a girl guy thing? I'd be okay with that.
So she was dating a girl and she was dating him.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Versus...
The more boobs, the better. Yeah, by far.
So versus there's... Okay.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the...
Yeah.
Okay, so
No Eskimo brothers in a relationship. That's just... I couldn't do that.
I don't even...
You look it up. Look it up.
Yeah.
Urban Dictionary.
After the show.
Urban Dictionary.
Okay. So now, let's paint this situation. So again, a couple months, everything's fine. And what you find out about this guy that you kind of like is that he not only was him, his ex-girlfriend, there was another couple. So there's a lot of swap and shop going on. But then he's open to it in the future. Doesn't have to, but he's open to it. Does it give you any pause? Does it even matter? How would you view that as ladies with this guy? You just didn't know anything about this, but it's been a couple months. He seems like a really good guy. What do you think?
Is he saying it has to happen, or he's saying I'm open to it?
He's saying he's open to it.
Well, I think every situation is different, right? Me personally, I don't invite that into my relationships. So I try to come from a place of curiosity and help me understand you're open to it, but is that something you have to have? Is that a nice to have, or a need to have? You know, what need does that fulfill for you? And is there something that we can explore within this dynamic that will fulfill that need for you? Also, it's 2 months. Like, how invested am I in this situation where I'm like even entertaining this conversation now that I'm saying this out loud? I don't know. It's been 2 months. I think it depends on how invested I am in the situation, whether I'm not even going to entertain the conversation, that I care enough to entertain the conversation. But if I really like this dude and we're moving towards exclusivity, I would come from a place of curiosity and help me understand, like, what does that fulfill for you? Is that a need to have? Similar to Steven, like, I'm not going to judge you for what you did before. You had a life before me. Fucking shocker. So did I. So, you know, it's like that. I don't know. It's all situational.
Okay.
I don't love it, but I'm not here to judge what you did.
Why don't you love it?
I don't love it because I think there's a part of me that is somewhat like fearful of, if you had that before, you have to have that now. And I think that, you know, it's depending on, it's been 2 months. Like, that connection, what does that connection look like?
But 2 months is 2 months of your time. I mean, it's still 2 months. I mean, you may not be in a committed relationship, but you've carved out 2 months of your time for a guy that apparently deserves that 2 months, which is still valuable, right?
I'm not saying that it's not valuable. I think that time is different, and I'm not intentionally being vague, but I think timing is different for everybody. And I think that it's like, during this 2 months, were you still dating other people for the first 5 weeks? So you're only really not dating anyone else for 3 weeks, which 3 weeks is not a lot of time. It's a blip on the radar. You blink and 3 weeks passes.
Okay.
So I think that it's so hard to say.
I would just say to you that regardless of, even if it was exclusive in the 2 months, if that part of it, I don't know how that matters in my answer to the question. I think more, if I care about you to date you for 2 months and it's not exclusive, that you're doing whatever you're doing, I'm more like thinking, how does your past affect our potential future?
I mean, for all we know, it was his partner that was living. I actually have 2 really good friends that are married, and they are in an open relationship because she's bisexual. And I think they've been married for I don't know, over 10 years, and they're so happy. They're so happy. They're so happy. And he's not necessarily going out and, like, you know, fucking everything with a vagina. Sorry, I feel like you're going to have to edit that out. I'm sorry. But, you know, he allows it because he loves her and she's bisexual. She's into women. So, you know, I think that there's more to the conversation than just hey, I used to be in an open relationship. Just wanted to throw that out there in case you ever want to, like, mull that over. Like, if he's coming from that place, yeah, bro, bye. But, you know, if it's like, hey, I just want to share with you what the dynamic of previous relationships have been like for me. Here's what I liked about it. Here's maybe what I didn't like so much. Just wanted to, like, share as I'm opening up to you. I think that's a different conversation.
What do you think, Jenda?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, really, everybody has a past. So, you know, I think once you get to the point where you want to settle down and be exclusive, you've, you know, gone through all your stages at that point and realized what you want in your life, right? So you're right. I mean, there are some people that realize that, you know what, maybe one just isn't going to cut it, and that's not for me. You know, maybe multiple open relationship with others is the way that they want to operate their life. And, you know, that's to each their own. You know, but I think it has to be agreed upon between the two people if that's the lifestyle they want to live. And then, of course, if that's the lifestyle they want to live, then there have to be boundaries set in place. What does that look like? So, again, communication is key.
What do boundaries look like in an open relationship? I don't know. I'm just curious. Like, it's a funny concept to me. I'm just trying to figure it out.
I'm not sure, but I mean,
I've never
really.
I don't know.
I mean, if you're going to be in an open relationship, I don't know.
I don't know. Are there boundaries? I don't know. I think we need to find someone in an open
You
relationship.
got to scratch and sniff first.
We need to put a pin in this, and then.
I mean, I've known people in open relationships, and no, it's not for me.
Yeah.
I mean, if I found out that my partner that I've been, you know, into for 2 months, and really wanting to, go down the, if you've done that in the past, I get our past is our past. We all have our past. We all have to forgive ourselves and move on and learn from our lessons and, try to be more in balance in the future. But at the end of the day, if that's what's for you, it's not going to work out for me. So I apologize. It's always going to be an issue. That's a major foundation to a relationship is your intimacy and who you share that with, whether it's exclusive within the relationship or open to involving other people. And what those boundaries are for those individuals, I don't know. I'm sure they have to talk through that on their own. But I can say honestly, the people that I've known that have been in open relationships, and it's been a few, over the last 5 years post-divorce, I've ran into a few and have been offered to be, join in, there's a lot of that. There's a lot of that, being single, woman, there have been many, offers.
Right.
But I can tell you that those relationships, those marriages, none of them have lasted. So in trying to introduce me or anybody else into that marriage, obviously it was broken to begin with because they weren't together and connected, and they had to look outside the marriage, which meant that it wasn't solid to begin with. And looking at, in my opinion, and that's just my experience. I mean, none of them lasted. Yeah. So it's a quick fix to, I'm bored.
Grasping at straws.
I'm bored of having sex with my spouse.
Yeah.
Instead of working on that relationship and coming up with creative ideas between the two of you and making that work and hearing each other. Should we really need to look outside the marriage if we find that true person we're compatible with, that's open and is vulnerable to expressing their needs and wants and desires?
Are they sharing for awareness, or are they looking to have that with you? They're looking to have that with me? No. Sharing for awareness? Okay, fair enough.
I love being judgmental. Being judgmental is an underrated skill set. And I think that if a girl that I was dating or interested in being in an exclusive relationship was, after 2 months, was telling me that she was in an open relationship and completely fine with it, she would be done. Unless she specified that it was a mistake. If that was the case, then I'm fine learning from past and but if that's something that you justify, that you think that is right, I have no interest, because I'm not putting myself in a situation with somebody who thinks that that's a solving of any problem, or even if that's just a thing that she wants. I'm not, that's not, it would be difficult enough for me to even move into a committed relationship, honestly, because we all know, sure, 2 months, 5 months, how about 10 years? Where are we at in 10 years?
Yeah.
Do I really want to bring a female? No, I really don't. Yeah.
I didn't mean to cut you off. I apologize. I agree with you. It's one thing for them to say, hey, I'm just letting you know that this is what happened in my past. I didn't like it. This is what I learned from it. I'm not interested in that move forward. Versus oh no, it was my jam. Then I'm fucking see the door.
Because most people, and I say literally almost every single person I've ever communicated with in life, male or female, they most of them just want an amazing partner that you can get all of that from. It is a situation, I think, that over time that these things are failing. I'm not talking about, I don't claim to understand everything about the bisexual aspects. I'm not bringing her into that. I'm just saying people that are in open relationships, I think, are in them because there's something about them that's wrong or have failed within their relationship or even them personally. And that is a judgmental statement, but I just...
So here's the flip side to that.
I love flip sides.
Right. The flip side to the coin. Say you have, I also have known of partners who, say the husband is not in good health and is on a lot of medications and is not able to perform and sacrifices.
His wiener don't work. His fucking dick don't work.
I know, right?
Poor bastard.
Circling back to sacrifice.
Right.
Makes the sacrifice to allow the wife under, boundaries, it would be known, that type of thing.
No, that's what toys are for. No, I couldn't do that.
No.
Sorry, baby. I still got a tongue. Y'all do something.
Because
I couldn't do that.
I'll have that conversation when we cross that
frankly,
bridge.
I mean, and this is where when you get into a relationship with your partner, this is where you definitely need to find out, are you compatible from the beginning? Because, you know, libidos are different. And it could be a lifelong struggle where you're going to, you know, do you want to keep the marriage and make the sacrifice, or what do you want to do? But the compatibility up front really needs to, you need to make sure that that's there.
Okay, so then I'll ask whoever wants to answer this question. So we are all in our, I don't know how, I mean, I know I just had a birthday, so I'm 52, so we're all
Damn,
40s,
dude.
50s. I know, shoot.
Fuck.
So we're all, so we're all only getting older, right? So then, how do you, if the sexual aspect of the relationship is 3 out of 10, 4 out of 10, like,
I'm sorry, what?
like so let's say you're in love with the guy.
But I can't get to the in love piece if the sex is a 3 out of 10. I can't get to that point if the sex is a 3 out of 10.
What number would you need to get?
Fucking higher than 3.
Okay, what number?
On a scale of 1 to what?
So
1 to 10?
I believe, is that the scale, 1 to 10?
We'll do 1 to 10.
Okay,
Yeah, 1 to
fair
10.
So I
That's what we
believe
do in
that as
Kansas.
you get more emotionally connected and you're in love and like time passes, at least in my experience, the sex gets better. So I don't need to start with a 10 out of 10, but I need a solid 7. And then you kind of learn each other, and that's the fun. Like that's the fun part, is you get to learn and explore each other and figure out, what does the other person like, what do I like, what do we like together, and you try new things together, and that brings you guys closer. You have that emotional and that intimacy that I think makes it so much better. But I need a solid 7 before I can fall in love with you.
So could they start as a 3 or 4 or 5 and then build to that?
So what's the lowest you would go to see
7.
another?
So-
7? It has to be a 7.
Yes.
First
So
time you
whatever
have
your number-
sex.
Whatever your number
Yes.
is, you can only go
No
like
pressure.
2 above, or
No
Yes.
pressure.
you can't go from a 3 to an 8.
Not with me, you can't. I don't have the time or patience
Damn.
to teach you shit.
But
I'm over 40.
But what? Okay. Okay. So let's say it's been 2 months. There's been,
Yep.
you have not had sex with this person.
Wait, I'm sorry, you waited 2 months?
I'm saying
sorry.
you did. Look.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Just stay
I don't
with
have
it.
sex on the first date either, but like, okay, keep going, sorry. This is
Okay, so,
hypothetical.
okay.
Tell me more.
Fair enough.
2 months.
Okay.
Haven't had sex.
All right.
Okay. Into the guy, interested, curious. Like, all signs point, he hasn't been in lots of thruples. Like, everything's looking really good at this point.
Great.
Okay, and then there's a little bit of a letdown. You're like,
Well, this is why I'm
Not
only
sure.
2 months.
but you just said that you become, over time, emotionally connected. And
Yeah.
there's these things. So then why could that not increase? So what makes a
From a
3
3? Jesus.
Well, maybe you just need some guidance. I mean, every woman's like trying to crack a
Okay,
safe
some
that's constantly
guidance is a
moving
6.
on you.
Some guidance is a 6. Some I need to teach you some things is a 3.
I mean, maybe
Go
you,
watch some shows.
maybe you've got
Some
this.
books.
Maybe you've
Some
got this
picture
one
books.
move that only you know, and he just needs to learn it.
Okay, so that starts out as a 7. And then I can teach you the one move.
Okay,
I
There's
don't
a
know.
move. Oh.
I mean,
like, I guess.
again, this
Never
is all
knew.
like hypothetical.
Obviously.
So it's hard for me to speak to hypothetical. I speak in like fucking real and what's real for me. Depending on the guy, depending on, there have been times where I've dated a guy for a month, but we were having 5 dates a week.
Right.
So I'm not going to make this guy wait. I'm
Yeah.
not
So-
going to make myself wait.
So it shouldn't be a
2
time
months.
frame. It should be how many dates in, really.
It's
Because-
like, what's the connection? That's
That's
what it is for me.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I could be dating a guy casually, but without having sex, and maybe we're hanging out once a week. I'm not going to build that same connection with
Right.
someone after 2 months that I'm seeing with a guy over here for a month, but I'm seeing him 5 days a week. And there have been times where we had 2 dates in a day. Like,
damn,
I
girl.
think that's different,
Damn.
and it's hard I can only speak for things that are real to me.
I guess what I'm wondering, though, is
So the answer is no. If the sex is bad, I'm sorry. That helps. I need to feel connected to you, and that's one way that I feel connected to you is through sex. And if you aren't, if it's not simpatico, that kills it for me.
Okay, so for the guys that are watching and listening that are so super curious on the good and bad of sex, without.
Also subjective.
I'm gonna assume
We'll edit all this.
with a number 2 pencil eraser. So, what makes it bad? What makes it good? Then, some guy watching is like,
Yeah, hypothetically speaking, what makes it good and bad?
You can help out, Brenda.
Yeah, come on, ladies. The guys just have to show up.
I don't want to monopolize this conversation. Okay, I will actually use a specific person I was dating.
Yay!
Do tell.
On why the sex was bad.
His name was Ronald.
His name was not Ronald.
Okay.
It wasn't Steven either.
He
Obviously.
completely missed all the cues. So not only the verbal cues, the physical cues, and I swear I'm not even exaggerating. I physically showed him what I liked and still couldn't get it right. Like physically stopped and showed him.
Wow.
Did you have to put it in for him? And what the hell?
So without being too graphic, there were a lot of like, hey, let me show you, or hey, I really like this. And I believe that, like, I don't assume that this person knows what I like, especially as we're still in the getting to know each other phase, right? That should be fun. As you're like discovering, you're listening, and you're trying to be in tune to your partner on, whether or not they're enjoying what you're doing. And you can feel it, like you can hear it, you can see it. And either like you're picking up on it, you're in tune to that, or you're completely obtuse and like you miss all of that. And so in this specific situation, it was like, hey, I liked him enough to be like, hey, let me show you, or hey, I really like this, or hey, I really liked when you're doing that. But like didn't connect the dot. Like I literally spelled it out for him and still couldn't do it. And it unfortunately, it got to a point where we were both frustrated, and that happened on multiple occasions, and it fizzled, it died, and it was unfortunate, but like really bad. Really bad. Like really fizzled.
We'll keep him Ronald because we don't want to guess this. Yeah.
Poor guy.
Yeah.
Poor guy got soft.
So I feel like my next question dealing with finances is not the right.
It's not sexy.
I don't even know how to follow this stuff. Okay, so let's do this. All right, this is a good segue. So.
Prostitution is a good segue. I'm sorry. Sex to money. I'm sorry.
It's the oldest profession around.
I'm sorry.
Should there be gender roles within a relationship? I guess let's first define what gender roles are. What would be an example of gender roles? Females, males, what does that look like within a relationship?
I'm a fan of them.
Okay, keep talking. And what are they? What are actual gender roles? What would that
like specifically, or just like a broad?
Either way, whatever. We got time.
I don't know. All right, so I'll use like something petty, taking out the trash.
Oh my god, I love that one.
The guy.
That's my favorite.
The guy.
Oh my god,
just
that's
do
my
it.
favorite.
Mow the lawn.
I will
do
fall
it.
in love with you if you take out my
Yeah.
trash.
Just things like
Note
that,
to everyone watching.
No, it should repulse a man to see a woman taking out the trash.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Top dirty
Oh,
today.
yeah. Yep.
Poor Ronald.
All right, here's one that I feel like gets overlooked a lot here lately. I think it's weird when I see a couple driving and the woman's driving. Now, I'm not trying to get weird or anything, but I'm just like, I feel like the guy should drive.
I don't know. You wouldn't let me drive your car, would you?
Fuck no, no man has driven my car.
Yeah,
Right,
but
right. I know. I just knew she was going to say that.
No man. I will tell you, that's when you know I love you, when I allow you to drive my car.
Yeah.
I won't even say the words, I'll just hand you the keys.
You'd be more than a 3 out of 10 then.
Fuck yeah, you would. You would.
I would just offer to drive my jalopy, though. I'll be like, no, we won't take your car. We'll take mine.
You've seen
Jennifer
her car.
I've seen your car.
Yeah.
I've seen your car. It's a nice
one
car.
of the loves of my life.
Yeah.
She's sexy.
She could probably be better than a 3 out of 10 if she tried. Right?
Again, 11 out of 10.
I was talking about your actual car.
I know.
Okay. So interesting. I don't know how to follow that one up. Okay, so if I am on if a guy's on a third date, not your car, not your situation. So you're going on a date for whatever reason, like you're in the same car, but for some reason you're in her car.
Mm-hmm.
is she turning over the wheel to you? Like, are you letting a guy drive your car after a third day?
I would ask. I'd be like, do you want me to drive?
You would ask.
I would ask. Do you want me to drive?
appreciate the ask.
Is that offensive to ask?
No.
And if
I don't think it's offensive to ask.
if she insists she drives her car, I don't like it, but okay. I'd rather drive.
I don't think it's offensive to ask. I also don't know a lot of men that know how to drive a manual.
I'm not even going to follow that with a joke, but yeah, that's a layup you just gave me.
I know.
Thank you. So I ask every time, pretty much. There's a few reads I was like, I'm not going to ask, but most of the time, and I think every single time they always want you to drive, almost always. I mean, it's very normal. So I don't know. I think that's obviously a gender thing. A woman's not going to come like, "Are you going to drive for you?" Like,
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Right. So there are at least on some level of gender roles. So how do you guys look at gender roles in a relationship? Like, how does that?
I love it when the man drives, and I don't mean my car. I mean like his car. I will tell you, I had a really great first date. Well, technically it was a second date last month, and a guy took me to dinner to a place by my apartment. The place was 3 blocks away, and I like laughed. I was like, "Hey, I can just walk. It's fine. Like I'll meet you down at the place." And he was like, "No, 8 o'clock. I'm picking you up. I'll call you when I'm 5 minutes out." Like, and I was like, "Oh fuck yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yes sir, yeah, yeah." I loved it. I love it when a man drives.
Okay. What do you think, Drinda? What's or in gender roles or just anything? It doesn't have to be the driving thing.
Well, I mean, it doesn't bother me if a man wants to drive, but I'm usually the one driving because I'm alcohol free, and usually the men that I guess I date are all drinkers. So I'm happy that I drive.
Yeah.
So are you saying that they're not real men?
In that situation, they're probably smart if they've been drinking.
That's fair.
Well, even not necessarily just the driving thing, but
That's weird. I don't know if I could drink
if the man is
out with somebody that doesn't drink.
Driving all the time?
And
Is that what
control
you're
himself
saying?
enough to not get himself in a situation where he needs someone else to drive his car. Yes, that's what I would say.
I like that.
Yeah.
And not get sloppy around you because he wants to make sure he is coherent and he shows up for you. Oh, I like that.
No, I think that's and that's how I would want to be. There's I don't know. I just think that like.
Yeah, I never thought about that before, but you're right. I'm pretty much the man in my relationships. I do all the driving. You're right. I need to find a man who will actually drive for me.
Fuck yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's something to that. I think there's something to how a man. I mean, we have a lot of like half men and like 38% men. These men that like are, I don't even know if they're real men. They're wanting a mom. They're wanting someone to take care of them. They're wanting things to be easy. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think that's what women want. But they find themselves sometimes in that.
Well, Jennifer and I both, independent women, single, we can take care of ourselves. We're looking for that partner that's going to bring the same to the table. And you're right.
More.
I'm with you. I want more.
Yeah.
I want more.
You don't want someone that just is showing up as an equal. You want someone that's showing up like I got this. That has some level of leadership to where you can like be in the like your true beauty and your true like in a different place. I think when a woman leads versus when a woman is in her feminine is two different types of women. And her true not just beauty, I'm not talking about physical beauty, but her comfort, her peace, her like the best parts of her, the calmness and the serenity of all is when like, yeah, he's got, I don't have to, I trust him, like, he's got it. And that she can look at him in that way.
And do you feel that men should financially take care and provide the woman with that security so she can truly be in her feminine and not have to work 60 hours a week as well? Should the man not allow her to maybe spend more time at home, not have a job, and financially provide for her?
So I don't know that.
I think
Sorry.
there's a lot there.
Ben's thoughts from the male perspective, the
apologies.
male conservative perspective.
My apologies.
Oh.
If you want a woman to
Uh-oh.
truly be in her feminine, then that means that in the old days, the man went off to work
Right.
and the woman took care of the kids and
Right.
attended to the home, keep
Yeah.
the home, and
Yeah.
that was the home, and that was her job.
Yeah.
And the man came home and handed over his paycheck to the woman, and she took care of all the bills and everything.
Well, no, I don't agree with the last part. I think if I go back in that time of my life, 100% that's what I believed and thought.
The
Like,
man provided the financial security for the woman and the family.
yeah,
So now
It didn't-
I agree, times have changed, and now women are liberated and we're working. But in my
but
marriage,
is it really liberated?
well, in my marriage, I took on a professional role, and also continued on with all the homemaking skills as well, or tasks
Right.
as well.
Right.
Laundry, cooking, grocery shopping, taking care of the child. I mean, all of those duties didn't go away. So now I'm working 80 hours a week, if not 100, doing
Right.
double duty,
Right.
while those home skills were never shared. So I think it's possible that a marriage could actually have both dual incomes, sharing the feminine and masculine together, allowing the husband now, if the woman's going to go out and get the job, now the husband needs to actually help out with some of the laundry, some of the cooking, some of the homemaking skills. So it's not just a one-way street anymore.
Right.
It's everybody
right,
sharing in all tasks together and sharing the feminine and masculine together.
May I offer up a slightly different perspective?
You may.
And I don't necessarily agree or disagree with either of what you're saying. I kind of look at that as in more of an abstract, like kind of just take a step back and not be so literal about it, as far as like the home duties, because I do actually think taking out the trash is a chore and a home duty that also like I should not have to do. But aside from that, I look at protector provider. Provider is not for me always financial. For me, I love my career. I love what I do. I'm the alpha at work, but I am not the alpha in the relationship, or at least that's not my preferred position. If a man puts me in that role, you're fucking done. Seriously.
Right.
But
Right.
I don't look at provider as always financial. I look at provider as the space. They create the space for me to feel like safe with him, supported mentally, emotionally. I feel taken care of mentally, physically, emotionally. They're providing that safe space for me, and that isn't always tied to finances. If I meet my partner and I make more money than him, as long as he's okay with that, I do expect him to be working and bringing shit to the table.
Right.
And, he can't control that I make more money than him, but if he provides that protection and like protector provider energy, which is how I define alpha male,
Right. Right.
I am fucking all for that. And
Yes.
he's taking out the trash, fucking say less.
And every single woman on the face of this earth that is attracted to men would agree with what you just said. 100%. There's not one. And if she is, she's lying, and she's like broken. Because every single, like, that was perfectly said. So like going back to like, to tie into what Jordan was saying, which I agree, I don't look at like laundry, dishes, grocery shopping as a woman's job, or even being in your feminine. Like, I do look at like all the tasks to run a house as like, we should all be doing that. And that's not I don't even look at that in the masculine feminine sense.
It's very granular.
Yeah, it's just like, but like the old 50s version where she's
Yeah.
doing these things and the man does these things. I think tasks and like how you run the business of your home isn't really like masculine, feminine, and it's just what we do to like figure this out. But I think
I'll tell you, growing up in my house, it was very definite.
Yes. Oh, I know. No,
It was very definite.
Yes.
My father didn't learn how to cook for himself until after my mother died.
Right.
So
Yes.
it just depends on how
It
you
does.
grow up, what you see, but yeah, at the end of the day,
And people can like, and again, within each family, they can define how that ultimately looks. I mean, she may like, I don't want him to cook. I've got this. Like, I love to cook, or whatever that is. That's for the couple to decide. Like,
Yeah.
I do think I think that there's things that are gender neutral, and I understand if the woman is staying at home.
but what is
with
the masculine role then?
So it's a little bit, I view it a little bit closer to what you said. I view it as, and so you were speaking of that in an abstract way. I would say from a concrete way that I, as a man, let's say that I'm dating a woman, she makes more money than me. I'm dating a woman, we are, or married. We have these kids and we both work full-time jobs. And so we have 2 kids, full-time, she makes more than me. So in terms of running the house, we're figuring out our own skill sets, what we want to do, what makes it work. None of that is masculine and feminine in my mind. What's masculine and feminine is me as a man reading and understanding her. What does she need? What is she missing? How do I need to fill in gaps? How do I need to be in tune with how she's feeling so that I can step in and take care of what needs to take care of? Like, I am here to take care of her. She's not here to take care of me in the same way I'm going to take care of her. The paycheck doesn't matter. Who does the laundry doesn't matter. But as a man, I am the man in the relationship, and that means I am leading the relationship in terms of being so in tune with her and her. Like, she could be like the toughest girl around. She could be the biggest alpha at work and all of those things. But when she's with me, she's like butter in my hands. Like, she is like completely feminine, and it's a completely different dynamic than what she's used to at work. And it doesn't matter if I make less, and it doesn't matter who does what job or what. It's just, it's how we orchestrate. It's the same way as like you think of like, you know, a couple dancing on a dance floor. And so when I'm dancing on a dance floor with her, my head is not on her shoulder. Her head, and when we sing on the couch watching a show, she's on me. I'm not flipping laying on her lap like a little boy. Like, so it's the dynamic of being the man that she's like, he is safe, he is strong, I trust him, he's got me no matter what, and I know that.
So I love that you said he's like got this. So for me, it's like the trying to support the problem solving of like, hey, you know, you don't have a truck, and clearly we're not putting a Christmas tree in your car because nothing goes in that car. I'm gonna come pick you up. And I know you had mentioned you'd want it, like they listen, like they try to support you in what you want and like provide. I'm going to take you to the Christmas tree lot and we're going to get you a tree and I'm going to come back and I'm going to put it up for you. Like, doesn't even ask me if that's what I want. He's just like, this is what I'm going to do for you. And I'm like, fuck yes, you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Provide.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's taking the menu and say, hey, I'm going to order, I got this. I know enough about you. We've been on dates. We've been together. I got the menu.
Being a provider is a masculine trait.
Yes.
Providing security is a masculine trait.
Yes.
Okay.
And
which women have as well in them, not just the man.
So okay, keep talking.
We each have masculine and feminine within us.
True, but
anyway, it's about what's more dominant.
And that's where I think, I struggle. I struggle having the man be the dominant one in the relationship.
I don't think it's about being the dominant.
Struggle with
it's
that.
just like their masculine is dominant. Well, I mean, I have many masculine traits, but they're not dominant to my feminine traits.
Yeah.
In the wrong relationship, it may be reversed.
And that's where they should be balanced. You know, we all have masculine and feminine, but we're dominant feminine, you're dominant masculine. But how that compatibility so that one isn't over the other, I guess I don't know, maybe I've been independent for too long.
It's good. I mean, a lot of
no lie.
a lot of people are.
And it's about finding what feels right for you, what works for you.
Well, we have a shortcoming of masculinity in terms of healthy men, not controlling men, not dominant men in terms of their own ego.
Yeah.
A lot of times it's their own insecurities that come out in controlling ways.
I agree.
That turn women off.
I agree.
There's like a quiet confidence where it's like they have nothing to prove.
Yes.
Like I just like I like, and so I think that within that, but she has to let him do that.
Yeah.
Like so I could say in a relationship, like there's a girl that I like. So if I like this girl and she allows herself to be vulnerable to me, then that's a plus. If she doesn't allow herself to be vulnerable to me, if she can't be vulnerable, if she can't put herself in a place for me to understand her and for me to meet her and for me to kind of figure out what she may need in a situation, then she's shortchanging what I want to be in a relationship. So she has to be vulnerable, but she has to trust me.
Willing to receive.
She has to, yes.
She has to open up and be willing
that's the
to
feminine.
receive his masculine.
Yes. It's just like, it's the same as sex.
Yeah.
All of it's the same. I mean, it's amazing, like again, like thinking about like I believe like God created sex. I believe that like all these things, it's literally all the same thing. Like there's a receiving, there's like but it's just like that in the relationship. In a healthy relationship, that's why who makes more doesn't matter. That's why it doesn't matter who does a laundry. But there's a dynamic within that of safety and provider.
Yes.
That creates this polarity to where like the sex is always going to be better than a 3 out of 10. 100%.
Yeah.
A man that's comfortable with that, he doesn't know how to have bad sex because his mentality with sex is in a way that she's always going to receive it gladly.
Can I give like a really dumb example? I had a friend of mine we won't define the word friend. But anyway, was in town, and I took him to the Peanut, and place was packed. It was football weekend, etc. And there was a table that was open. We were trying to sit, and it was dirty, and he was trying to get the bartender's attention to grab a towel and like get it cleaned. And I was like, oh, and he was like trying to handle it, and he was kind of talking quite loudly at the bartender, trying to get his attention. Not being rude, but just being like, hey, bro. He didn't use say bro. I'm paraphrasing. And I started to say something of like, hey, we'll just wait. And he was like, you're not allowing me to take care of you, and you're not allowing me to be the man in the situation. We had a previous discussion about, and he said, let me do what I do to take care of you. And I was like, okay.
100%.
So I was like, all right.
I as a man, I would be like, I know exactly what he meant and what that feels like to let me do it.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
he was so happy, and so was I.
No, there's something that like drives us in that way. That's what we do
I guess I haven't experienced that.
Oh, I'm telling you, in that moment, I was like, yes, sir, do what you do to take care of me.
And that's why I'm just
You clean that dirty table. You tell that bartender to clean that table. All right.
Let a man take charge. I guess I am so take charge. I just take over. I do.
Right.
I take over. I get things done. I'm not waiting on no man.
Well, and so
I'm just not. I waited for things to get done in my marriage, and I'm not waiting anymore. I've had to just take the lead and do it myself. So you're right. I'm yet to find that man who's gonna take the lead for me.
Yeah, I think that there's.
It works for me. I can only speak for me.
That's awesome.
Right, but sometimes men don't do that. And
No.
sometimes you have to, like, if you're gonna get something done, you're like, I have to do it, and so that's
Shit's gotta get done.
So
That's why the sex is a 3. Sorry.
Right. So the test in a dating relationship for a woman to do is that she has to. There's an easy test. Tell a man how you feel about something. So I feel, I don't know, like I'm trying to come up with an example here. So how a man responds to how you feel will tell you everything you need to know about how he's going to show up in ways that actually matter later on in the relationship. When a woman
I need an example, Ben.
So
when I tell a man how I feel about fill in the blank, I need like a concrete example.
So we'll take a positive one first.
Okay.
So he planned the date.
Yeah.
He picked her up. He had it all organized. He, of course, paid. He, A to Z, he had the night covered. He had you home when he wanted to have you home. There was nothing awkward about anything along the way. He simply, from 6 o'clock to 10 o'clock, took care of the situation. Had it planned. It was lovely. It wasn't, he didn't bring you flowers. Don't bring girls flowers on a first. That's idiotic. Nobody cares. This is not, I mean, I'm a guy. I'm telling you, I don't, but simply he asked you questions. He got to know you. He planned it. You literally showed up, looked pretty, got to know him, and he was in charge of that 4-hour date. Okay. So when you tell him, you know, I just want to tell you, like, I appreciate you paying me, like, you know, how I felt was like, you really did a good job tonight. Like, I felt like you really took care of the situation. Like, you took care of the date. You were like, that is all he needs. That's almost better than sex for him. Maybe not completely, but that's almost better, because what he knows is that he succeeded. He took care of her. She recognized it, and he heard the words, how I felt, and it was a positive. So when a man hears how you feel and it was a positive, he's going to want to do it again. I can promise you that. He won. We achieved something. Like, we don't always win. And so that's one test. And then on the other side, an example of, you know, where she, like, let's say that he's been pretty actively pursuing her for a month. Okay. And then it seems like week 5, week 6, it's tapering off. And like, this isn't really the best example, because I don't know if this would be what I would recommend. But like, so I'm trying to say, like, you know, I feel like I love your attention and how like in tune you were with me in the first month, but it seems like, again, this is not a recommended. So this isn't a good example, but I feel like, you know, you may have your interests other places, which is fine. You may want to go other places. So, you know, I love when you have the attention, and maybe I'm not your person, and that's okay. It's not a good example, but how a man responds to how you feel when something's not right also tells you everything you need to know about him, because he's going to, first of all, like, you're right. I've been kind of shitty the last couple weeks. I've had some things going on. I really like you. Like, I'm interested in you, and you're right. I haven't, you know, I don't want you to think I'm taking you for granted, or that I think that somehow we're here. And like, I hear what you're saying, and I want to tell you where I'm at, and the way you're feeling is correct, and I get that. And so let's just keep going. I'm glad you told me that. So it's always how he responds when you say how you feel, if you want to know if he can be in his masculine or not. He will never be, if he doesn't hear you, if he dismisses you, if he's like, you know, I mean, that's kind of like, I didn't do anything wrong. Like, I mean, look, I've been busy, like, and just gets defensive or doesn't respond, run. It's not for you, because he's never going to be a man that's in his masculine in that situation. But you have to tell him how you feel, and it's a test. That's how you kind of start to figure out, like, how he cares, how he responds, and how he's willing to lead. That's a lead. That's a lead. I feel this. Okay. I hear you. I care about you. I want to know how you feel. And so I'm going to, maybe not, it's not about fixing it necessarily, but I'm going to respond in a way that shows that I care how you feel. And that's it. So, okay.
Do you want to talk about something, Ben?
I don't even know. Okay, let's close out. This has been good. I feel, Jennifer, during this season, it's time to move on to something else. So I feel it's time. Can you be a man and tell me it's okay?
Dude, it's all right, dude. It's all right. If you need a shoulder to cry on, pick someone else.
I might. Well, you're the closest one. So, thanks for tuning in, folks. This is like, I'm not supposed to say the word favorite. This is a good group. I really like this. This is very interesting to me. So somehow I'm talking a lot, which is opening up in weird ways. And so Perna's going to tell me later, Ben, you did really good because you really and Tiana's going to tell me, you really said how you feel. I was like,
That's
they say I need to open
It's
up more.
good.
Sometimes
Yeah.
it
helps people connect
It
with you.
does. It does.
Dude, don't start crying. I'm gonna leave.
You're the closest.
I'm gonna leave.
I'm blocking. All right. Thanks for tuning in, folks. Have a great night. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. Let's keep the conversation going. You can reach out on Ben's website, www.benkeechshow.com, or on social media to chat. And please remember to subscribe so that you never miss an episode.